Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. A long, long time ago, in the case of the Brothers Grimm, try over 200 years ago, some very clever people wrote nice stories of make-believe, such as Cinderella and Snow White, in which a handsome prince kissed a girl who'd been poisoned by an evil witch. They'd clashed over lookist issues, and who was in a coma. She was about to die. So 7 of her closest friends who who make that born with dwarfism begged him to do it. But the prince was a naughty man. He didn't ask permission before kissing the comatose girl. Indeed, he didn't ask whether she was actually a man just self-identifying or LGBTQ+. Now, some very cross campaigners, some of whom are wealthy beyond the dreams of Croesus, thanks to starring in similar stories, are stamping their Louboutin-clad feet and even banning their own children from watching the film. Yes, boys and girls, if they take offence this easily, it's safe to assume they're unlikely to live happily ever after.
Nick, I think we could get on with the show. Of course, you're referring, I presume, to Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley and the row over Snow White.
Well, let's just start off by having a look at what she actually said.
I'm very aware of what I'm marinating my child in. So there's a couple of like stories just theme-wise that I'm not cool with. It's like, no, it's not cool to like wait for a rich guy to save you, like save yourself. No, it is never cool for any man that you don't know to kiss you in your sleep without consent. Not okay. No, never give your voice up for a man. Absolutely not. Not okay.
Now, I understand what she's on about, but I don't think it'll make any difference. I mean, one of the shocking things if you've had kids and you've had boys and girls is just how different they are quite quickly. You know, I always remember the first girls' party we ever had. Everybody was nice and polite, and the boys came in and nutted the wall, and I could never... and I always thought they've been brought up the same. And I then, years later, became chairman of an animation company, and we
Is there any job you haven't done?
No, I've done most jobs for a while. But what was really interesting is there were boys' toys and girls' toys, and it was as straightforward as that. And it didn't matter what you did. I mean, Thomas the Tank Engine sells to young boys. I mean, it's not to say girls don't use it, but it sells to young boys. And therefore, I'm not sure that the influence she wants to have won't bounce back on her.
Right, OK.
In truth. And that actually, I understand what she's on about, but I'm not sure it'll actually work.
OK. June?
Well, you know what, it's funny. You know I am a proud feminist, but I think this is why feminism gets a bad name. Because sometimes it is just too over the top. Bloody hell, it is a fairy tale. And now, if all you are doing is reading your children fairy tales, then we have a problem. But if you're making sure that you're countering that narrative with something else, then there's no problem.
Well, that is the other argument. If you discuss it, if you read it to your child, possibly your daughter, you then can explore issues of consent and empowerment.
But not necessarily they're kids. I don't want to be talking about that early on. And also there are other things. You can then make sure you're telling them about women who've done great things in history, whatever.
Or don't take apples from strangers.
Exactly.
Don't take, as in The Witch.
Well, also, nobody tells you that you've got to read that story about 200 times to this child, so you're not going to discuss it in depth every time.
No.
All you really want to do is go to sleep.
One final point. It's actually also quite hypocritical of Keira Knightley, because she made those comments while actually promoting a Disney film, The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, where she plays a sugar plum fairy. Not much feminist about that, is there?
You know, fairy tales are supposed to be about fantasy. They're not supposed to be about sending subliminal messages about feminism and about independence. And I just think the greatest irony in all of this is Keira Knightley herself.
Exactly.
This is a girl who has done extraordinarily well with her incredible beauty, but her not so incredible acting talents. You know, her success is the big fairy tale here, and she doesn't actually say it. And I think
that's
girls,
your view. I think the millions of people who go to see her movies might say differently.
I suspect little girls would be far more influenced by the waif-like models they see in magazines than by the characters in a Disney movie. Don't you think? I completely think so.
Michelle?
Well, when I heard was doing this topic, I was almost, well, I was ready to go, what a load of bloody nonsense, you know, kicking off because someone's kissed Snow White and all the rest of it. And then I've really thought about Disney movies. Now, my childhood, and sorry, Mum, if you're watching, but my childhood wasn't ideal, to say it mildly. And I did used to watch Disney movies and read books. And as I sit here now, if I'm honest with myself, and I can't even believe I'm about to admit this, but if I'm honest, I would say that my outlook, expectations and desires have been, in some ways, shaped by Disney movies. Well, I do. I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm often disappointed in relationships.
That's a product of what you watched as a child.
Yeah, because I'm being completely honest here. Like,
you think Prince Charming was going to... You genuinely believe Prince Charming
well, like,
was
for
going to turn up?
example, like, I one of my favourite... And this is a really strange conversation for me to be having, because I'm like, my brain right now is saying, oh, don't say this and challenge this. But when I watch a Disney movie, it does something to me. It gives me goosebumps, it makes me feel a certain way. And one of my favourite movies is Up. I don't know if anyone's ever watched Up.
No.
And I come from a home that's not, you know, it was not a pleasant place to be when I was growing up. And when you see Up, it's this great story of this couple, and they come together and they live this great life and they adventure. And I used to watch stuff like that and just think, oh, I want that to be like...
Just to pursue Greg's point, you honestly thought that, being facetious, a prince would come along?
It's not necessarily about a prince coming along. It's about I was in an unhappy place as a child.
That's horrible.
Wasn't that escapism for you?
Yeah, it was very much escapism. And I feel almost bad because I know my mum will be watching this and I don't want to cause upset. But the truth and the reality of it is, I used to read like storybooks, Roald Dahl a lot as escapism. I used to watch Disney movies a lot as escapism. And even now, at the age that I am at, I do still have a small part of me that has this romantic notion, and it is shaped by things like that.
So what's wrong with happy ever after? What's wrong with wishing for that? You know, how do kids today reconcile Harry and Meghan? You know, there was a girl who was a restaurant hostess. She couldn't afford to fix her own car at one point.
But
she got
the
a bit of a gig in
criticism
telly.
is-
She's married a prince. But also, should we tell kids not to read Shakespeare? Because, hey, newsflash, Romeo and Juliet,
No, so
she
what
kills
I'm
herself
saying,
over a bloke.
So just to be absolutely clear, I completely don't agree with banning Disney movies. I completely do not agree with that.
She's just stopping her daughter. She's not saying ban the film.
No, and
She's in one.
No, but I guess what I'm trying to say is there is a part of me, and maybe, and I'd be fascinated on
She's
Twitter.
making a valid
I'd be
point.
fascinated on Twitter if you're watching this and you do understand what I'm saying.
Michelle.
Tweet us and tell us, because there is a part of me that has been shaped by that.
But it goes beyond just Disney, doesn't it? I mean, the truth is, we promote certain... I mean, you go to the average, say, drama school and look at the women in that drama school, and they are disproportionately beautiful.
Yeah. What society can...
Society chooses what it sees as beautiful people, and that's who we promote as being... I mean, I remember when I was London Weekend, the head of drama saying to me, oh, she's a good actress, she doesn't mind playing ugly. Whereas most women didn't want to play ugly. They wanted to play
Can I just
beautiful.
say one quick thing and then I'll hand straight to you, Carol? I think the point you made there is a really valid point, and it goes back to what I said originally, that if you don't have anything positive to counter a Disney movie, so in your life you came from a traumatic home and you had a very difficult childhood, then the problem is there was no balance. But if you come from a more secure family and you are actually making sure that you're countering that Disney narrative, then it isn't a problem.
but I would
The
say
other
I search
issue,
for
can I
these.
just say two other things? The problem I have with Disney films is, number one, that the majority of women in them, or the girls portrayed in them, are scantily clad. That's actually no good. And what's also interesting is, in terms of children's book, there's a statistic, and we can bring it up, from the Observer Nielsen in 2017, which found that out of 100 of the top children's books, the lead characters were 50% more likely to be male.
All right, we have
so
to
again,
finish
we
it there.
don't have enough of a balance.
Don't miss Nick and Nori next week when we're doing Beauty and the Beast, played by June Sarpong and Greg Dyke. I'll let you decide
I'm the
who's
Beast.
which.
Oh, what a
Honestly.
shame you're a beast.
Anyway, it's now time for a little straight something of the week. So it's no secret that most MPs will do almost anything for a bit of publicity. But the Honourable Member for Lichfield, Michael Fabricant, is hoping that the sight of his honourable member, will be enough to encourage people to raise money for a hospice in his constituency.
A naked cycle ride is a good way of raising money. A naked bike ride from Lichfield to Whittington would be a beautiful thing. I would uncover all sorts of parts that I've never seen before. I'm told that naked cycle riding is both healthy and liberating.
Yuck.
Dear
I feel sorry.
God.
I feel sorry for the person who had to actually use that bike after. For that brazen effort, Mr. Fabricant, you are our straight stripper of the week. I think he has to pay us for having to see that thing.